So hello again. I hope that I won't confuse you more with my next presentation. I'll attempt to explain in more detail of what we attempt to do in the CEF automated translation. And I apologize for the title, which again uses another acronym in the title of the presentation, of the CEF automated translation platform. So what is CEF automated translation platform? It will be a secure and adaptable automated translation platform that plugs into any DSI and makes it multilingual. As a starting point, we take the AT.DSI machine translation system, which is already operational at the Directorate General for Translation, and which currently serves the EC institutions, the European institutions, as well as some online services and portals, and this available to member state administrations, but Spiros will talk more about that. And again, I stress, it has to be understood, AT.DSI does not equal CEF automated translation platform. It is a starting point. CEF automated translation platform will be more. It is a broader concept. So AT.DSI is the first instantiation, if you want, of the machine translation systems that will be used by CEF automated translation. And in any case, it's only the machine translation service, only the MT system. In CEF automated translation, more other MT engines or components will be added, either specifically tailored for difficult languages or for specific DSIs, or which are needed to provide better machine translation results for specific languages or specific DSIs. And also the concept is broader because eventually CEF automated translation platform will cover more than machine translation service. The platform will be expanded to include all solutions, technologies to efficiently address multilingual needs of the different DSIs. So eventually it will become a platform that offers tools and services for multilingual enablement of DSIs, of public online services. And a slide on, again, attempting to explain this broader concept, what will be then the features and the enabling technologies of the CEF automated translation platform. So we will start by developing domain-adapted machine translation engines based on the Moses technology for the domains of the certain DSIs, And as this technology, the statistical machine translation technology, is using linguistic data, language resources in the individual languages, mainly parallel corpora, we need to ensure that we have the relevant resources, language resources for the domains of the DSIs. So this is what we take and what we need to have as a basis, as a start. So the relevant resources are central for the adaptation of the SMT engines to the domains of the DSIs, but then MT might not be enough as technology to make the DSIs effectively multilingual, so that in future more technologies will be added, and these could include, again, these are ideas, these are our ideas. We will need to first establish what other technologies are needed, will have to become part of the platform to provide effective multilingual support to the DSIs. And these could, for example, be CAT tools in those scenarios where there are very high quality requirements. It could be content management systems. As part of the multilingual challenge is that you might have to, in certain scenarios, maintain parallel information in multiple languages. And then you might need a content management system. For instance, for e-health public services, where the important feature is the diagnosis and the medication to provide to the patient, MT might, again, not be enough to become effectively cross-lingual. We might need to address the semantic interoperability issues and technologies. Other key elements that will be needed to make CEF automated translation platform work for the DSIs is we will need to develop interfaces to the various DSIs to exchange information, And also, since we cannot automate everything, for certain tasks, we will need human intervention. For example, to perform the help desk function or quality control of terms, of alignment, of parallel corpora. For some tasks, we might need to post-edit to improve the MT output. And finally, if, for example, the quality of machine translation won't be sufficient for a particular task, for example, if in the ODR scenario a Maltese customer chooses to complain in Maltese and we don't support Maltese translation sufficiently, we will need to have human support to serve that Maltese customer who complains, and this is what is meant here by on-demand response. So in a nutshell, to repeat again, automated translation, CEF AT is a building block which will serve the other DSIs in CEF, and it will include whatever it takes, whatever technology it needs to make DSIs actually and effectively multilingual. What we have done so far, I mentioned earlier, we have had two CEF work programs adopted, 2014 and 15. In the 2014 CEF work program, so these actions were planned in CEF 2014 work program. For the requirements analysis, where the purpose is to analyze the requirements, the multilingual characteristics and requirements of the DSIs, and to design the IT and service infrastructure for the platform. We have just now launched a specific contract within a framework contract that the European Commission has, and the results of that are expected towards the end of this year. Then within DGT, in Spiro's team, there are people working on the deployment of small-scale adaptation pilots, so the adaptation of the AT.DSI system to the DSIs. And one of the three adaptation pilots will certainly be the ODR platform, because they need to go online in January 2016. And then finally, this event is the event which is the first official event of the language resources coordination effort, which we have launched with Work Program 2014. So here the main task is to set up a permanent language resource coordination mechanism, if you want, that will feed the CEF automated translation platform with the relevant language resources in all official languages of the EU and CEF associated countries, with the purpose to improve the quality, the coverage, and the performance of the automated translation systems and solutions in the context and for the current and future DSIs. As for the CEF work program in 2015, the work program was adopted November last year, and here we are starting the implementation of these actions. As regards the platform, the core platform, we will purchase additional IT and software resources for scaling up the platform to a larger scale of use, a realistic scale of use, with a plan to serve 5-6 DSIs, and we will do it based on the requirement analysis, which will be completed in the coming months, and based on the small-scale deployment performed by VGT this year. We will continue work on language resources. We will implement a language resource repository, which will be part of the platform, and which will host the language resources needed to train, adapt, and support the MT systems, and will include the language resources obtained from member states and from other contributors. And we will also start preparatory work to create, or we will continue work to create an engines and adaptation factory, which Spiros will explain in his slides in more detail, that will help reduce human efforts needed to train and adapt, to train new systems and adapt machine translation to the specific domains. As for the language resources, the coordination effort set up in Work Program 2014 will be extended and it will be deepened. And we will also move from training and networking to the systematic collection of language resources. So we will be purchasing the necessary language resources and tools, MT components and modules. We will also provide an IPR support and clearance help desk. So how will all these be implemented? So as regards the additional IT resources, we will continue to work internally with framework contracts as regards the language, and the same for Engines Adaptation Factory, that's DGT. As regards the language resources and the tools, we will be issuing call for tenders. So as I have mentioned, in both work programs, significant effort is devoted to language resources, and in multiple presentations today and yesterday, the importance of language resources, I mean, it's clear that it's an essential element to make CEF automated translation platform a success. So in this work program, we are starting the language resource coordination efforts with the main objective to raise awareness among the potential holders of language resources about the value that these resources have for the platform. So we need to mobilize those who have the language resources relevant for CEF and to train them how to put these resources to good use. So as mentioned before, CEF automated translation platform needs parallel text corpora, terminologies, vocabularies, taxonomies. These are the raw material for the automated translation technology. It also needs processing tools and components, but as a first priority, we are looking for data resources. So the European Commission has funded before efforts on language resources, and they have delivered very valuable results, but now there is a specific focus, so we need to focus on those resources which are relevant for the CEF automated translation, for the CEF DSIs, and that will improve the automated translation for public services in the specific DSI domains. So CEF is a joint effort, and it is a shared responsibility, and the member states need to realize the importance of their languages and language resources that they hold for enabling the digital single market. And we do understand that some countries have understood it better than the others. We have seen by the Latvian examples that this is not a new message to the Latvian public authorities, but the message might be a bit harder to pass in other countries. So yes, that's what I wanted to say